Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to take a look at another figure from the vintage collection. Yet again another figure that has been very popular and highly requested for quite some time, but falls short in a few areas. I'll talk about those later on in the video. The figure I want to give you a look at is this guy. This is of course Grand Moff Tarkin from Episode 4 A New Hope. Portrayed by the actor Peter Cushing, Grand Moff Tarkin is of course the Imperial Grand Moff who spends the majority of the film antagonising Princess Leia, blowing up her home planet and threatening to torture her in order to get details from her regarding the hidden rebel base, all that sort of stuff. He's not a very pleasant guy, but he's a very cool character and a cool figure as well. But as I said, just a few little gripes that I've got with this figure. I'll talk about those in just a bit. But before we do, let's take a look at the packaging that he comes in. We've got a very, very nice vintage card back for this figure. Oddly enough, Grand Moff Tarkin was never released in the original vintage line, so this marks the very first time Tarkin has been available on a vintage card. And as I said, the figure itself has been in much need of an upgrade for quite some time as well. The last Tarkin figure that we got was back in 1996 or 97, back in the Power of the Force line, so nearly 20 years since we've seen a Tarkin figure. The card back does look very nice. You've got the Star Wars logo at the top, Grand Moff Tarkin name tab below, a very cool and sinister image of Tarkin himself on the card. On the reverse side we've got other figures available in the vintage collection, some of which have been reviewed, some of which have not. For those that have been reviewed, just give them a search over on the channel and you'll find all the videos there. So that's the card that Tarkin comes on. Once again, a very, very nice one. So now let's take a look at the figure itself. As I said, for the most part it's pretty good, but there are a few areas in which he falls a little bit short. One of those areas is in fact the colour of the uniform, which in my opinion is a little bit off. Obviously Grand Moff Tarkin wears a much greyer, in my opinion, uniform in the film. This is very bright, very vibrant green, and I'm not a big fan of it if I'm being honest. And another contributing factor to that is the fact that Hasbro decided to give Tarkin a skirt, which looks weird. Not only does it not really match the figure, but the colour of it doesn't match the rest of the uniform either. So it's a little bit mix and match in terms of colour palettes there. I've no idea why Hasbro decided to give Tarkin a soft goods lower tunic. This could have been plastic and it would have made the figure look much better. I do understand that it would have restricted movement, but this just doesn't look very good in my opinion. Those are the only real issues that I've got with the figure. The head sculpt is adequate, I'd say. It's not brilliant, but it's not terrible either. If I just take a moment now just to compare the vintage figure with the Power of the Force Tarkin, I think the original figure captured a more accurate likeness. Obviously he's a little bit more muscular and a little bit, he's packing a bit more brawn, but no, there's just something missing from this figure that makes it definitive, and it loses a few points in that respect. In terms of the overall figure though, it does indeed have the Grand Moff or Governor rank on the tunic there, as well as the code cylinders. He does come with a blaster pistol as well, which is the same type of blaster we've seen with figures such as the TIE Fighter pilot and Dr. Everson, Ponda Baba. He does of course have his belt there as well. And in terms of articulation, he has a ball jointed neck, ball hinged shoulders, elbows and swivel wrists, a swivel waist, swivel hips, ball hinged knees and ankles. So a reasonable figure, but again, I don't know, there's just something missing from this guy, I think. One of the redeeming features of this figure though is the fact that he does come with this accessory, which is very, very cool. This is of course the mouse droid, which carry data to and from different areas of the Death Star. What I really like about this mouse droid is the fact that it doesn't use the oversized sculpt from the Power of the Force days. It's a revised sculpt which is much more accurate in terms of scale. The wheels on the bottom now move, and there's just a lot more detail to it overall. So a really nice accessory to be included, and in my opinion the real highlight of this figure. Tarkin is nice and it's great to receive an update, but he's just not quite as good as he could have been. So loses a few points in that respect, but still a figure that I would recommend picking up, especially if you are an original trilogy collector. Obviously the fact that a Tarkin figure hasn't been made available for nearly 2 decades, and the fact that he was never made available in the original vintage line, you know, adds a bit of the appeal to this figure. Just the figure itself just lacks a few vital elements that makes him perfect, but I dare say that these errors or these gripes will have been picked up by Hasbro. It wouldn't surprise me to see a repaint of this guy down the road. Catching a little bit of light there as well on the face, just cover that up for you. Reasonable figure, just not perfect. So I'll let you make up your own minds as to whether or not you want to pick this guy up. But in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I'll be back with many more very soon. Until then, as always guys, I want to thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the force be with you.